Hi, everyone who joined us today. My name is Valerii. I'm software architect with experience building and consulting healthcare products. Today, we will have a conversation on HIPAA-compliant applications in AWS Cloud, overview of technologies and some experimental cases. Also, you can post your additional questions in the chat, so we will answer them in the end of our meeting. Our agenda, sorry. Yeah, our agenda for today will shortly speak what is HIPAA. We will see a high-level recommendation from AWS for general services, how to design them. We will see some helpful information for special healthcare services in AWS, and also I've collected real project common issues that we will discuss today, also related to the cloud and organizational issues. And as I mentioned, in the end, we will have Q&A session with all of you. So to general information, what is HIPAA and how AWS deal with it? The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, it's a full name of HIPAA, is a legalization that was created, first of all, to improve quality for US workers when they lose their job to try. So basically, this thing to standardize all this data to move it across different organizations that the workers are using. HITECH Act expanded the HIPAA rules in 2009, and basically it covered more different stuff in our area in IT to protect PHI and individual rights and administrative responsibilities. In recent years, AWS started to make fast and innovative steps because of fast and consistent domain growth. It's interesting fact that compound index of information scale in healthcare domain will reach 36% in 2025, so in the next 2 years, is 6% more than manufacturing, which is 30%, and 10% more than finance. So we can see that the amount of data which healthcare services generate every year is growing significantly more than other domains that are working with. That's why it's crucial for software companies and technical companies to be in the edge of transformation and provide good services to our clients. On this diagram, you can see a high-level diagram created by AWS itself, how they see general cloud infrastructure for healthcare services. On this diagram, you can see that they are doing a logical split of virtual cloud, dividing it into management, VPC, production, development environment, basically just an example, so you can have as many environments as you need for your organization. You also can see how they recommend to connect your customers using side-to-side VPN or direct connect, and using these secure channels you can move your data to the cloud. You also can see an audit and login control tools and some administrative and permission management tools here as well. So what AWS is providing for its customers out of the box are secure data exchange, separated environments, authorization, trackable actions control, permission management, and incidents control and alerting. However, AWS, as an other cloud provider as well, is not responsible or declaring that client organization is compliant with any law or regulation, because AWS isn't controlling the usage of provided cloud services. So that's why you need to do it on yourself, and you want always to have people who understand it, and architects and consultants who will take care that your organization is compliant. Moving next. So now we'll speak on some particular AWS resources that can be useful to healthcare projects. And of course, we will start with AWS Health Lake, because mostly when we are talking about HIPAA, we're talking about data. So that's why a data lake will be crucial, and it's the heart of such system. That's why we're starting here. This service is pretty new. It got its general availability, means that it became available for all AWS customers in July 2021. So it's about 2 years ago. So it's new, and probably not everyone tried to work with it. Of course, it has a lot of features inside it, such as secure ingestion, secure storage, analytics, integration with ML, customization. You can build DVH built on top of that. You can achieve localization and logical spread. You also can achieve data privacy with some different resources in AWS ecosystem and so on. But what I really want to mention today is the main thing I put in the name is value of simplicity. Basically, when we were doing, solving and consulting cloud transformation for their data before that, before the service became generally available, it always include, dozens of services, like you need a network, you need a database, you need some connection, you need integration, and so on. As an architect, you always need to plan these resources somehow, including a cost, including an operation, some support in it, licensing, and it's for an architect or a consultant, it's hard for yourself to understand it and really predict it well on real big scale projects. But moreover of that, you need not only understand it, but also to give really good advices to decision makers, to our clients who are not always technical users, and it's a little bit hard to explain them. And architecture contains a lot of pieces. So the main thing which makes our lives easier is simplicity. When you have a lot of these things just in one resource, and when you're coming to a client and saying you need to make a data transition to the cloud, now you can say with AWS that you are moving to Health Lake. So it's a single resource, and everything just much simpler. Yes, so it's a really great service you can count on. Yeah, moving next, as I mentioned, the service usually coming with lake formation. It's a management tool for databases inside AWS ecosystem, which mostly use to achieve access control, the data privacy and security. So it provides raw and cell level security and dynamic access management. Also, it can be useful if your client is not a product, but a platform, which means that your client also have different B2B clients who have their clients. And usually in such projects, you always want to separate data storages for different account traffics. Usually the best way to do that is a separated AWS accounts. But when you are moving to the cloud legacy, it's not always possible to split the storage completely. And as an intermediate solution, you often come to some logical separation when you have one physical store, but you somehow manage access. And AWS Lake formation is definitely thing you can do it with it. Another important feature in healthcare, which basically generally available for a long time, but it's not popular till now, is SNS Filtering Feature. Basically, it provides you possibility to do some actions based on identifiers coming to SNS. So you can make an audit access on some attributes. You can de-identify, do a character replacement of attributes. You can do a conflict and submit and bulk messages with specified forbidden attribute. So basically, you can not allow push something to your cloud. But this feature has not become widely spread yet because for some reasons AWS is not doing the same with the body of the message. So the capabilities of this feature are still limited, and filtering is applied to these attributes also limited on pattern match. That's why we should continue keeping our eyes on this feature and try to use it. But yeah, some additional things are required here. Another resource important to healthcare is Glue. Basically, it's very common resource in data world with AWS, not only in healthcare services. It's providing several as ETL jobs, data catalog, PI, PHI, and ETL orchestration. When we're talking about HIPAA-compliant project and healthcare project, of course, the most interesting thing for us are data catalog and PI, PHI audit. So the pros for using for this goal the service is that it is serverless. It basically allows solving this task and it's solving it well, and using orchestration can be well automated. And when we will speak about real world examples, you'll understand why it's important. Some concerns I've noticed about the service that log and data scanning associated with the cost, and it will be good to have protection for PI and PHI up front, like with SNS. From microservices and client ops team, this technology not so spread as Kafka and its schema registry, so you probably will need to teach people to work with it from these teams, and some flexibility limits compared to OpenStack such as Airflow. You cannot, but it's not really critical. So coming to some real-world examples, I've collected 3 of them for today, consulting and doing some projects inside DataR. So the first thing is organizing production support. And when I was doing this presentation and I found this photo, it was like, oh God, it's exactly how you're feeling when you're organizing production support. As a vendor, you can see nothing in production, you can do nothing, and besides that, you still should provide a support for your client. So the issue overview is that HIPAA itself does not limit the movement of PHI data overseas. However, because of different client vendor and client agreements, it's usually practically impossible, at least from my experience, to get an access as a vendor. At the same time, DataRs provides high-quality services, including effective real user support and production monitoring. So, general solution for this problem with healthcare will be making initial agreement, creating architecture, vision, and strategy for fully release automation and delivery strategy for product with automation, including cloud services. It makes it possible to resolve high percent of issues before production and effectively manage in real users' environment. But as always, it's easier to say than to implement. That's why I've collected for today some very common concerns from our clients when we are proposing this strategy to get you knowledgeable with, and how you can convince your stakeholders that you can bear these issues. So we will start with the first concern is the high initial investment in AWS cloud automation. You can hear it very often from your customers that we want POC, we do not need automation on current step, we need everything fast. And if we will start investing in automation and CI, we will just spend time and we will not be able to deliver, and we will have a low time to market. So in our days, it's really not valid concern because with the progress that Terraform and CloudFormation are doing, it means that a long-term project is a completely not valid statement, since the engineering time, efforts on top of big resources when we're talking about clusters, networks, VPCs, different environments for big enterprises. So this in mid and long term time on setup with Terraform and CloudFormation and manual are mostly equal, but automation will just provide a better quality. So this is not an issue at all. Another very common is a possible bottleneck on platform, a central DevOps team. Again, not valid concern for the last ±5 years. Science CDK, especially for Terraform, got a lot of features and it became possible to delegate infra engineering on application level to applications teams. So basically, infrastructure management and creation is not the same like it was 10 years before about how we think. So right now, platform or DevOps team should only do a core and probably provide support to across the organization. But infrastructure development using CDK, which gives an ability to create this infrastructure using well-known for your engineers languages such Python, JavaScript, you can do it. You can spread and diverse it across your organization and do it inside the teams. That's why you can easily, with core organization structure, solve issue of bottleneck. And of course, issue related to this topic more is broad information access. So you can very often hear from your stakeholders, a customer, that we will not provide to vendor any access to prod at all because of something. And again, AWS did a lot of efforts and provide a lot of resources to really provide resources to solve this issue. And nowadays, with AWS Data Catalog help, it's most impossible to split customers' private data PI or customer health data like PHI info with technical logs. Resources such as AWS Parameter Store can be used to take services set up and support. And using log groups, you can spread your de-identified logs with PI, PHI logs with only technical logs. Of course, you're not killing your risk of data exposure completely. It's generally impossible to not have risk at all. But using correctly set up in your infrastructure will make it risk really minimal. So you can use these things to advise to your clients, and probably it will, I believe so, it will help you. Yeah. Another case I've collected for today's small or initial HIPAA project. I have few such projects last year. It's very often when some project come for consultation when the customers isn't a healthcare service or doesn't understand that well. Still, some of minor features may include PHI information, for example, different kinds of questionnaires about health condition before some activities, or some other features inside your product that when you're really collecting PHI data. The product companies that ARC works with are not always have enough expertise with healthcare projects because some of them are not working in this domain at all. So data ARC must help them, and together we can provide a solid protection for customers' data. General solution, if your project only begins with HIPAA-regulated functionality and data, it's important for you as engineers to always remember that it's well-regulated law, and before doing any engineering, you should sort all organization, agreement stuff, and HIPAA personal trainings activities. So if you're not sure, and if you got such a case of a project, the best thing for you to do is ask for help in our healthcare and AWS communities to find the right tech solution for products, because there are really plenty of them, a lot of them in AWS marketplace, when you can just pick it inside your product. And do not mess with these things at all, but just do not hesitate to ask. We have really good communities who are able to help you with in such scenarios. And the last case for today, one of the most common ones is applying strict domain data model, example FHIR. So as with Spark initially, HIPAA is generally seen for regulation for easier transferring your data between organizations. So when we're speaking about it from technical perspective, it means that we need some standard of how we are storing our data to move it easier. So because of that, there are some standards, and one of them is FHIR. You can apply on your data model to solve this issue. But it does not come without issues. The issue is that the healthcare product can have hundreds of services, including software for running encounters, suppliers, integration with medication providers, etc., a lot of them. The huge amount of different services means integration and data exchange requirements between them. On a big scale, it became a real challenge to keep a contract between all these services, test, deliver integrations, and people just spending a lot of time on communication in between different teams, so business units, to agree something really simple, in a few fields. To solve this thing, basically data did it frequently for different projects. The most effective way to solve this issue is to introduce a strict data model for healthcare domain or its required parts, such as FHIR, and create a policy, organizational policy, to observe everyone's commitment to the schema and policy of changes to data schema. So basically how you change in this data schema when it's required. If you're talking from a technology perspective and where AWS can help to support this critical transformation for our clients, it can do it with a variety of services such as Kafka, MSK as a event store, which can, with integration to schema registry, help us to apply in strict data schema. We've already mentioned today about Glue Data Catalog, which can also serve this purpose, and Health Lake, which has an embedded FHIR structure. You can just stop it for you out of the box. So yeah, these are three main services in an ecosystem which you can count on to solve this issue. Again, it's easier to name the strategies than to do it well. That's why we again will speak on what are stopping real-world organization from implementing it. Again, three main things we will speak on today. The first thing I have personal experience dealing with is resistance from some engineering teams. So you can very often hear such things like FHIR data model doesn't fit our very special needs of an application. In my personal experience, in 99% of cases that I've seen, it was just the absence of will to change and adopt standards. Moreover, you should keep in mind that FHIR supports extensions, so it can be adapted and extended. However, it's also a danger. So when you're doing extension for a FHIR for your special needs, you should always balance in between your real needs to extend it to deliver better product to your customers and how far you will go away from FHIR, because as more far you're going from there, it's harder to be really consistent with FHIR and say that you're FHIR compliant by using FHIR data model, because you can change it completely. So you need to really have a good architect and good engineers who will control the balance and really solve it well. Another problem associated with it is very complex data modeling. We're talking that basically this compliance mostly all about data, and some entities in FHIR data model will be updated from hundreds of services, and data corruption is very hard to troubleshoot, and sometimes it's mostly impossible to restore. So that's why it's really a critical issue for your organization. I know the only way how, from my personal experience again, how to solve that, leaders of transformation should always count and have an experienced data architect, consultant who will help with this transformation. And basically, here's a place where data can help, because we do really have good solution architects, data architects who have experience with this technology and can help to customers to do this migration smoothly. And the last thing, it's basically not a concern, but requirements to run this cloud transition and applying FHIR on your healthcare services is requirement of continuous learning and continuous improvement, because it's definitely one of the hardest and one of most important domains in software engineering, because we're dealing with the human health and life. And implementation of such hard software requires engagement from all sides, starting from the first engineers and lasting with leadership. So for organization, it will be required to invest in every and each person's upskilling constantly and continuously to achieve their goals. Because it's not just, kind of propaganda, because if you are not investing, FHIR is not optimal for each local single piece of the software. Sometimes it's hard to implement it. And if the person, if engineering, if leaders does not understand what they're doing in bigger picture, they do not understand how this domain is working, what its requirements, what its purposes to, you will always have the first issue of resistance to your changes. And with a resistance from inside of your organization, it's really hard to make any good transition. So the answer how to fight with the resistance of change is basically upskilling and making your people more knowledgeable inside the domain. And it really helps from our experience. And it's another thing where data R can really be helpful with our expertise to our clients. Yeah, so it was our 3 practical things. Now we're coming to Q&A. If we have any question, so I'm counting on you.
Yeah, Valerii, thank you very much for this speech. Colleagues, now would be the time when you can type your questions in the chat, and we will gladly answer those. So I just suggest, Valerii, to wait for like a minute or so. And in case colleagues do not have any questions, we will just wrap up.
If someone just do not have questions right now, right, as I mentioned, you can always contact me, or you can contact our really best AWS and healthcare expertises in future. If some issues happens with you in future, yeah, and we will have your questions, and I believe everyone will be glad to help you with.
Alrighty, so we do have a question. I will read it. It's from Rama. Team, DSA closely collaborates with various centers of excellence to help our clients design interoperability solutions addressing HIPAA, FHIR, HL7 compliance. We have expertise in this space. Reach out. So it's not really a question. It's just something like.
Yeah. So not sure that's its question. As I mentioned, yeah, we do have expertise in this sphere. We also do have some already implemented platforms, including definitely good experience with AWS services. So if we need cases for clients or we need an advisors, expertise, both expertise at AWS and healthcare is definitely their first point of contact for people.
Thanks a lot. So colleagues say thank you, and it was very useful, and they have no questions.
Okay.
So this is one comment, but we will. I suggest we wait just a little bit more, just in case anyone has a question.
No, maybe it was too good, so no one have questions.
Yeah, everything is, just Very, very clear. Yeah. Yep. So alrighty, we have another thank you for the overview. I'm suggesting that there is no questions. So I would like to say thank you very much again, Valerii. Thank you, colleagues, for joining us. And stay tuned for the recording and the presentation to be sent using the same mailing lists you've got the invitation from. So yeah, thanks a lot and have a nice one. Bye-bye, everyone.
Have a nice good day and evening for everyone. Bye.